What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Gooner channel. And I'm asking the question, is this going to be the weekend that we see it go from being a 3-horse race to a 2-horse race in the Premier League title? Now, to start with, you have to first acknowledge that it is a 3-horse race. And that's something that a lot of pundits have been very loath to do. They've talked about how Man City are a juggernaut. They always have a great end of season and they're going to win all of their remaining games. Liverpool are the only team to challenge them. When you ask Man City fans, Liverpool are the only team they're scared of. Arsenal have proven it time and time again that we can't go the distance. But leaving that narrative aside, because I think it's based on past events and it's certainly not based on form. After all, you cannot get away from the fact that Arsenal are the team in form in the Premier League. 25 goals in 6 games. On Monday night, we travelled to Sheffield United with a chance to become the first Premier League team to win 3 away games in a row by more than 4 goals. I'm not saying we're going to do it. I'm just saying that if we do it, that's a record that we've broken. And it would follow hot on the heels of the record we broke in being the first team to score 2 goals in 7 consecutive halves of football. We're a free-scoring team at the moment, scoring more than 4 goals a game on average. And in some games, we concede only 1 shot, let alone a goal. So, we are definitely in contention. I will say right now that if we don't get 3 points against Sheffield United, I think that's pretty much a nail in the coffin for us. Because if you can't go away to Sheffield United and get 3 points, good luck going to the Etihad. Which is, of course, what Manchester United have to do on Sunday. But the whole thing starts off tomorrow with Liverpool away to Nottingham Forest. And Nottingham Forest, who just got narrowly beaten in the FA Cup by Man United, who aren't in good form, and we're going to come to them. But before we do any more, listen, do me a favour. Click like and hit subscribe if you haven't yet. If you like this kind of content, it would certainly be helping me out. But the big game, first of all, is Liverpool travelling to Nottingham Forest. And certainly Klopp has done an amazing job this season. I think the summer transfer window was a little underwhelming. They did sign some great players. I'm thinking, of course, of Szoboszlai, and they signed McAllister from Brighton, a great player, as well as Gravenberch, who, for me, has been a bit disappointing because I really thought he'd be a great player. And it was well known that Ten Hag wanted him to come to Man United, and he turned that down to join Klopp. I do wonder at times like this whether if a player like Gravenberch has signed for Liverpool and had known that Klopp was going to be leaving at the end of the season, would he still have made that move? It's all by the by. We saw what Klopp is capable of. And there's a real lesson there, I think, for Arteta as well. In the League Cup final, and I haven't talked about this yet, but I watched that game and I'm still stunned. I still don't understand how you can have a team that cost as much money to put together as Chelsea. And all joking aside, there are great players in there. Palmer, Sterling, Enzo Fernandez was a player that most teams would have taken when he signed for Chelsea. And of course, Moses Caicedo is the epitome of the player that everybody wanted. We made a bid for him in the January transfer window. It was too much. He threw his toys out of the pram, said he really wanted to come to Arsenal. In the end, he turned down Liverpool to go to Chelsea. And we all know that Liverpool have got injury problems. Every team's had them. And the timing of your injury problems does make a difference in a title running. Theirs have come at the worst possible time. It's quicker to list the players who aren't out. They are putting together very makeshift teams, but nothing could have prepared you for the extra time League Cup final. Look, we've been accused in the past of not wanting the League Cup badly enough, but watching that game, Chelsea didn't seem to want it at all. It was their 6th final defeat in a row. And they lost it to players I honestly had never heard of before. Dan's, for me, was the player of the extra time. It looked fantastic. There just isn't a way to describe how it can be possible that essentially Liverpool, playing mostly their under-21 squad, could take on £1 billion worth of talent. Enzo Fernandez, Caicedo, as I've listed them all already, and play so much better than them. There's a real hint there that Arteta could be taking and maybe throw in a couple of young players because you just don't know. Watching Liverpool win that game and you kind of thought, well, this is the edge. I mean, first of all, going to 120 minutes and then having to play Southampton in the midweek. And they lined up against Southampton with the only team available to them. Again, new players I'd never even heard of. Kumas, who apparently is very highly regarded. They somehow beat Southampton. I know Southampton are a championship side, but they're not a dummy championship side. They're good. They go into tomorrow's game, though, the third game in a row with a team that is not going to have played together very much. It's hard to imagine how that's going to work. Yes, over time they are going to get some players back, but they are missing absolutely key elements to their squad. Nottingham Forest are a bit weak at the moment, and Everton getting some points back has put them in a more precarious position. Maybe that will make them a bit nervous playing Liverpool. I've definitely expected Liverpool to play worse than they have done up till now. Is it possible that Nottingham Forest could pull off a result there? Because if they do, it isn't just the points that Liverpool drop. It's also about what it really starts to tell you about how long it's sustainable to play with your second string team, with your youth team. I'm not sure how to predict it. I certainly would not have predicted that extra time win for Liverpool the way that it happened. I certainly didn't expect them to roll over Southampton so convincingly midweek. I find myself in a difficult position of not really wanting to bet against them. I did a video recently which was about predictions, and in this match I gave Liverpool the win. But it was a video that I did 3 weeks ago before the full impact of their injuries. I'm going to be watching it with interest tomorrow because if Liverpool drop a point, Manchester City take on Manchester United on Sunday. And look, Rio Ferdinand recently coming out and saying that Arteta in a heartbeat would drop Arsenal to go and manage Manchester United. It's clearly not something anyone really believes. He's crossed the line there, and everybody now realises he's saying things, as Sky pundits tend to do, just to get clickbait, just to get people to tune in and angrily disagree with him. I'm not going to do that. Rio, you're entitled to your opinions. You're a legend in the defence, but let's see if it's true. I mean, we are talking about a Manchester United that just don't have anything about them at the moment. They certainly don't have a midfield. And as much as I want to believe that there's going to be the passion of a derby in that game at the Etihad, Manchester City are perhaps up until the game midweek where they absolutely battered Luton and Erling Haaland scored 5. Up until then, it was possible to convince myself that they were going through a bit of a wobble. They didn't play all that well against Everton at home. They had a draw with Chelsea, but Manchester United, they are a shambles at the moment. I just don't know how it's possible to go any other way than a Manchester City win. So let's assume now that Liverpool do drop a point. Manchester City pick up 3 points and we pick up 3 points. Is it fair to say that Liverpool are now dropping behind? That unless they get their players back? What if the unthinkable were to happen? What if both those teams get a draw and we get a win? My gut feeling is that this weekend is going to be 3 points all round. But what does that mean for the title race? Well, if Manchester City convincingly beat Manchester United, so what? That's what you'd expect. They have tough games coming up. The really important thing here is that after this, Manchester City travel to Anfield. Partly, I kind of hope that Liverpool pull out all the stops and do get a result against Forest, because perhaps this fairy tale can continue for them. Perhaps their youth team can hold Manchester City to at least a draw or better. But in the game between Liverpool and Manchester City, it's quite obvious they can't both get 3 points. So by then, if Liverpool have failed to get 3 points now and don't get 3 points then, they're losing ground to us and Manchester City, and they have the worst injuries, and some of the belief may start to go. And I think it could narrow down to a 2-horse race. I'm really excited to know what you think. Let me know in the comments, but my feeling is there might be a little surprise in this weekend. On Monday night, let's hope that we do the job we have to do. And ultimately, look, when you're in a title race, it's just like being in a swimming race. Watching the other competitors slows you down, and that's not something you should be doing. Arteta's been talking a good talk. We're just focusing on one game at a time. It's kind of nonsense, isn't it? Of course you're looking ahead. And the postponement of our game against Chelsea is an irritant because I want to get that game out of the way and beat them early. My prediction for this weekend, Manchester City win comfortably, Liverpool draw, Arsenal win comfortably, gets very narrow at the top, and it's set up beautifully for the visit to Anfield of Manchester City next weekend. Let me know in the comments what you think. I'm always keen to hear, and I reply to everyone. But is this the weekend that we might see it really come down to Man City and Arsenal? I very much hope so. Anyway, till I see you again, be lucky. Lots of love.